Don't whine about it, repurpose it. Hello my friends, it's diys-by-dar, and I finally have a piece I've been waiting to work on probably 2 years. I don't have to wait for hips to heal up, broken wrists to heal up. I'm free to finally work. So, fingers crossed, I'll make it through the summer without a problem. But my plan for this is to make it into a wine bar. And hopefully I can get the things ordered that I need and they'll get here. I'm not exactly sure where I want to go with it. I have some time to think about that. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a scraper and I'm going to scrape this off first. And being sold as solid oak, I mean, they probably thought that it was, but it is veneer. And what I wanted to try to do with this is ceruse it. So I've been told that yes, it can be done. Going a little bit on the risky side for me, but risk, I'm 60. I'm all about it. Let's do it. I wanted the doors removed because I wanted this cabinet to be really open. Plus the mini fridge was going to go on the bottom. Next came the scraping with the Carbide scraper. This I figured would work really good. I saw my friend Barry from Mad City Modern use it and they work great. Next I used the surfprep with 100 grit sandpaper just to remove the rest of the surface. Then comes the scraper, wire brush. I tried to hit the areas that I knew were already kind of coming up to the surface and went through the whole thing. Got to rough it up. You can kind of see sideways there, those spots that looked roughed up. That's what I'm aiming for. And I also had to fill a few holes here and there, and I decided to use Gorilla Wood Filler. I did have another area that I didn't like, and I wanted to fill that in. So I used the same Gorilla Filler. It was a little bit different, more thick. You could form it a bit more, and it feels a little bit gritty and sandy, but it did sand off really nice. My plan was to use the all-in-one silk mineral paint by Dixie Belle, and the day that I used it, it was a little bit warm out and I had to spritz it, and the paint was just a little bit thick and I wanted it to really soak into that wood. Oh, what in the world? Come on, Michigan. Stop teasing me. I was able to get in here the other day. Well, sometimes that's just how Michigan rolls. You can get a foot of snow one day and then a couple days later it all melts and it's hot outside. I continued to paint using that all-in-one, hoping it would prime good and cover good. Next day, look at short sleeve. Craziness. I watered the paint down finally for that second coat because I really am trying to save my surface, the characteristics of that surface for the wax that I'm going to put on. So there is the 2 coats, and you can still see the surface, but I just do see a little bleed through. And here's the wax, the black wax. Now today, a little bit cooler out, so that wax was a little bit thicker. And you know, I think things like that really play into how hard you're going to have to work on that surface, because it's colder, so the wax is thicker and it's going to rub off a lot harder. But that's just the way it is. Took me quite a bit. But as I rubbed and rubbed, you can see that grain coming up, and I'm kind of liking it. I'm not liking the corners very well. I should have sanded them better, but so that wax is just laying a little bit heavier down there. This is the end product. I was liking it. It looked really awesome. It looked very sophisticated. And then I'm going to spray it with the Finish Max Super Home Right Sprayer. I'm going to go ahead and use a Dixie Belle Clear Flat Matte Spray. Sprayed the whole thing with 3 coats. Now, here are the backs of the cabinet itself. I did take them off. I had to do some repair. You can see on the corners, and I needed to prime it because I did get some wallpaper that is the self stick. You peel the back off and it's not going to stick on this porous wood, so I'm going to need to prime it. I was trying the roller there. It was a foam roller and it was not working that great. I just could not get enough paint on that foam roller to get in all them little cracks, so I just kind of gave that up and finished with the brush, which really seemed to go a lot quicker and a lot nicer. Here is the wallpaper. I loved the pattern. That's why I got this paper. I've never used this paper before. I can't honestly say that I really liked it. It worked okay. I think if you just bought regular wallpaper and used paste, you'd be able to move the piece around a lot better, but you have to get that down where you're going to stick it, and that's where it's staying. And just slowly wipe it down from top to bottom as you peel that underneath backside paper off, just a little bit of it, and then continue to smooth it down and work any air bubbles out until you get to the bottom. Here's the back side, and I just went ahead and curled it around and took the scissors and kind of cut the corners a bit so they would fold down nicely on each other, and they came out really nice. Then I crashed. Well, things were going good. It looked really great. But then I hit the wall. After I had it looking so nice, I had a couple specks on the surface, and I went ahead to try to wipe them off, and it kind of peeled the whole surface off, and I thought, what in the world? I used the wax. I really thought I had all of the wax wiped back as best that I could get it, and I thought it was wiped back pretty good. But then I went and used this Dixie Belle Clear Coat Flat, and it was the only one they had at the store. You can see that it's separated, and I thought, well, I'll just stir it up and shake it up real good, and that's what I used on the surface. I sprayed it on, and maybe it just was too old to use. I probably should have known better, but it's pretty tough to get supplies in my area because I live in a pretty rural area, and unless I order it online, I'm probably not going to get something that's really fresh. So, painstakingly, I used some stripper I had to strip it all the way back, and when I ran out of stripper, then I just sanded. I had to repaint it again. This time I used Boss instead of the all-in-one paint. The all-in-one paint from Dixie Belle, I still had a little bit of bleed through coming through, but the Boss did the trick, and then I didn't have the bleed through anymore. So one coat of Boss, 2 coats of the paint. I've kind of lost my texture for the paint to kind of give me that wood look that I wanted. So I had to change my whole plan and go to a faux finish, which is going to really make it look a little bit more rustic, but hey, that's okay. So I worked on this board right here, a couple of them, to see where I wanted to go with it. And what I've decided on is a really thin down Dixie Belle gravel road, and then a accent color of Rust-Oleum's chalked aged gray. And I'm going to switch, and I'm going to go to the polyacrylic with the clear ultra flat. So that's what I've got to do next, and it's really been quite a ride, but hey, I said I was ready for that. That's going to be my next move, so let's give it a try. Time for a baby chicken break. Okay, when I thin this down, it probably was more like a 50-50, 50 water, 50 paint. Very, very thin, very, very watery. And I'm just painting that single coat on, and then we're gonna go from there with some tools. And I got a package of graining tools, which has a comb in it, and 2 other devices that you use for fauxing that wood grain. I made the paint all flow in one direction. Here is the comb, and it has different size teeth, so you can pull it through and kind of make that underlying grain look by pulling it across. Here is the larger tool and the smaller tool. Now, since I really didn't want my boards appearing that they were going from front to back, I have to start in the corner, and it's really difficult with these graining tools. So I had to do a combo with the small and then take the big one back over the top of them. And it is kind of difficult to make the boards or the faux board look different. It's all in a matter of how long you drag it and when you start to tip it and how long you leave it tipped. And on these big tools, you can flip it from side to side if you need to change which direction you want to start. So trying to start as close to the corner as I can, it's just a matter of pulling and gently rocking up and down. And since I can't go all the way to the end because of the handle, I have to start that way and come back into it. And you can work it in so it looks very natural. And then rock it up, take it straight back down. Now there seems to be where it leaves kind of a dark line right along the edge, which was the same problem I had with the first one. So what I did is, while that paint is wet, just take a dry chip brush and try to pull that paint that looks so straight in its line from the corner into the design, to try to give it a little bit more of a natural look. And it definitely does help a lot. And if you see any different, like, weird streaks, just take that dry brush, wiping it off occasionally on a rag, and just brush over it real lightly and blend it in. It's very forgiving, and it's really kind of fun. I had to do this in sections, and just going right up to that corner and trying to pull as much of the paint out of that corner as you can and butt it up to where you left off. And sorry if your eyes go a little bit wacky because of this pattern, but when I get this second set done, you'll be able to see that board a lot better. Yeah, if you don't like the way it looks, either go over it again, wipe it all off and repaint it, and start all over. I had to do the whole piece, And then after it was dry, I did use some of that Rust-Oleum aged gray with a dry brush in a few areas and just lightly wiped it on there to give it a little more 3D, and it looked like driftwood to me. And then sealed it with 3 coats of the Minwax polyacrylic. Then it was going to be time to figure out how to put on all my racks, the wood separation pieces for the wine bottles. So I had to measure it all up because I wanted them straight, and got it figured out. Got them on there. Here it was, the 1980s solid wood with oak veneer entertainment center. Here it is now. I'll have all the supplies in the description box, and hey, like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.